I'm going to mute it.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Very good. And you?
Doing well. I decided to come out to the pool. I might have to run under the shelter. There's some ominous clouds on the horizon, but it's okay right now.
I'm growing duck feet.
I like your frame there, Paul, with the happy
There
faces.
Oh, professional.
So I guess we can go ahead and call the meeting to order. The first thing is to approve the minutes from April or May. Do I hear
I so move.
I second it.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes.
It's Sally.
So,
Sally.
How about Susie?
so the first thing on the agenda
You're talking about the other one.
is a standardization project that we're working on. And we found some interesting information this week. And
Show 'em the doors.
I don't mind.
Jim, do you want to talk a little bit
Video?
about what we discovered? What you discovered?
Well, we've been telling people to go by the handbook, which states that Anderson Terratone is the color for the outside windows and doors trim. However, when Carmelis went and got a quart of Anderson Terratone, we found that it is nowhere close to what we thought it was, and that the existing windows, the trim and the door, or the trim for the windows and the doors is clearly Anderson dark browns. So I don't know when the handbook was done or if that was intended to be a change of color or if it was merely an accident. But Stacy, if you could bring up that picture so that we can show people the difference between the two colors. And I've ordered actual samples from Anderson so that we can compare the two, like window samples, so we can compare the two. And you can see on the left there is what the actual Terratone color is, which is kind of a muddy tan, and the dark bronze. It's splotchy because that's paint that was left over by the Brills and given to C and Gale when they moved in, and so it's, you know, that's clumpy. But that's clearly the color that all of our windows are, and that all of the HOA doors are trimmed in. In fact, even on the first floor, the unit numbers are are trimmed in that. So we're going to, this was just within the past 48 hours that we discovered all of this. And so we're going to, and this was in the context of, there were several variations. The Lotzes, the Melvins, and the triplets all had variations to one degree or another that we had requested be changed. And we've spoken to all three of them. I talked to Gwen about as people have brought up several times, the sunrooms on the fifth floor penthouses that are trimmed in bright white. When I brought it up to her, she said that, you know, no problem if you know, if they have to pay to have them repainted the correct color, that we should just tell them exactly what to get. And she would make sure that her brother, Charles, who owns the other one, would get the information, and they'd be happy to do it. So But we need to figure out what the whole thing or deal is with Terratone being listed in the handbook. Was anybody who's on here involved in choosing that color and can tell us what was going on? Or
Not us.
no.
This is Stephen. I can.
Okay, well, yeah. What's the deal with that?
It comes from June Holly and Wilma and some of the older residents. That's the original color of the Anderson windows from 1982, and so the standard's been when individuals replace their windows, the frame has to be. It should be Anderson. It should be Terratone. That's the color. And if you don't do Anderson Terratone, then you have to get something that matches Terratone.
Well,
So it's been around for years.
When you're looking at this color, does that look like any of the windows around here to you?
Are you talking about the frame or the glass?
The frame, obviously.
No, well, if you just look at all the window frames we have,
Yeah.
except for the faded ones, that's Terratone.
Turns out it's not. We're getting the Anderson samples are getting delivered to me on Monday. But the Terratone is the color that's on the screen right now, and that's clearly not the color of any of the original frames. I mean, it fades to something close to that.
Fades. But no, I've spoken to Anderson, and it's Terratone. Historical Society, Emily, she always approved the Terratone color. So
Yeah.
unless Anderson's changed what Terratone means, I don't know.
Well, the samples will be delivered on Monday, and I guess we'll explore that further. But we are not going to ask people to change their colors twice, so we're putting that on hold until we clear this up. So that's the standardization project. While we're at this, and once we've determined that, we'll give a Pantone color code so that there's no ambiguity about it. We'll also give a Pantone color code for the hallway doors. And then while we're at it, we'll also talk about that there's been some discussion of changing the color of the balcony dividers. So I suppose we'll put together a homeowner committee to oversee that project. But again, this is something that's just come up in the last 48 hours. So we're in the process of digesting this.
Jim, when
Yes.
we went to replace our windows,
Mhm.
I got samples of Anderson's color and,
Mhm.
and samples of the windows we put in, and they're very, very close. That dark bronze is the dark bronze that
Mhm.
Anderson uses, and the windows that I compared it to are closer to the Terratone you're showing in that picture than anything darker. So just when I went in, I got an Anderson sample when they came in to give us a bid, and I used that as my color chip. So.
And do you still have those samples?
I probably do, unless I loaned them to somebody.
Sure, that would be great. But like I said, I've already ordered samples from Anderson to arrive Monday too. So,
but it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed from Terratone for years. They've had the same color. So
I assume so.
It hasn't become dark browns.
Right. And Jim, it looks like the picture you're showing on the screen is paint.
Yes, it is paint.
Okay. This I didn't realize Anderson made paint.
No, that's the Anderson paint from. It's the matching paint from Home Depot. But like I said, I have Anderson frame sections coming on Monday.
Yeah, and it's going to look like the darker brown because Anderson Terratone windows are not that putty, muddy brown like that paint.
Well, that'll be a relief.
Yeah.
And that may completely resolve this. It may be that this paint sample just was a mistake. I've had times where they've put the wrong code into the computer and gotten something bizarre out of it. So it's possible this is all just a misunderstanding, but we will find out on Monday.
And then what's the process? Because we did this in good faith.
So we understand that, and we'll follow up on this next week after we figure out what the actual colors are required to be.
This is Bob Lotz, and many know Sally and I yet because we haven't actually put into our unit. We purchased it, but one of the things we did was replace the outside door, and before we did so, we weren't told that. I didn't expect that we had to buy an Anderson product. We've had Anderson products, and
We have them in our home now, and we didn't want them again.
and so I appreciate the fact that members of the board have been very nice to us and made us feel welcome. Since we've come here, and I'm thankful for the people who have introduced themselves to us and made us feel welcome. But it's hard when we go out and we didn't just buy these doors without talking to
People, to many people.
to
Yeah,
the board,
many people.
And being told that it was of the color, being shown the color.
And we looked around at all the colors and we were told to look around, and we looked around, and there's just like 12 colors around.
And it matched this color brown, but we have a dark brown. It's called a Tudor brown. And it's another manufacturer. I think it's a much nicer door.
An AE door. It's a local company, locally made and operated.
And so they've done, if you look at our front door, you will see that the trim around it has not yet been painted. When we stopped, when we were told that we might have to repaint it again.
And it's been raining, so we haven't primed it or anything.
But I consider while you're doing this, or what the committee's doing it, consider the fact that if you're asking someone to paint this over, first of all, it's not the same as the paint that's received on the door at the factory,
which is electronically applied, and it's going to void our warranty on those doors. So that's a small thing.
No, we understand that, and we're sorry for the misunderstandings and inconvenience. And we'll try to find ways to both standardize the appearance of the facade of the building without damaging the doors that you've gone to such expense to install. Trying to think of ways that this could be done. There could be, it could be possible to put a frame around it, some sort of cladding. I don't know, but
we want to be good neighbors.
Sure, of course.
To fit in and to do what we need to. That's our intention all along, but those doors cost a lot of money, and they're actually hung, not leaking, and they're working. And the warranty is something we've asked. Please come up with a solution. Yeah, they're a dark brown.
I said, let it go. I said, agree.
Yeah, it's a very attractive color. I prefer the color of your doors to that tan terratone that we're seeing. So I guess what we're going to end up eventually coming to is a range, and determining the outer boundaries of that range is going to be one of the things that we'll ask the homeowner committee to come up with. And
please work with us. We really want to work.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And there have been other people that have relied on this that have had windows installed on upper floors that would be impossible to actually bring into compliance if we were to just straight out say, okay, this is the color, no deviation. So we are going to have to find a reasonable solution to this that doesn't overly burden homeowners, but also leaves us with a kind of unified look for the facade.
We understand.
Thank you.
We understand.
Appreciate the work you're putting into it.
Consideration.
So Matthew, start with a standard now going forward. You just can't go back. I mean, they were told it was okay, right?
Matthew, do you want to move on to the pool news? You're muted.
I'm unmuted now. So I'm sorry I'm backlit. I'm trying to, my head has vanished. So the pool news I had was basically the I wanted to be out here to show Jim's creation to bring us into compliance with the health department. So our grills are set aside by a fence where children can get in and potentially burn themselves on the grill. Um, there was another part of the pool news, and I forget what it was. We've got 2 bids. We've decided to put sod in the part where we took out the bushes. We've gotten 2 bids on that. We're awaiting a 3rd bid to make a decision. Was there more pool news, Jim?
No, and I just want to specify that enclosure is temporary. The ideas that we had for a permanent enclosure had problems with each of them. We were thinking about trying to have something along the side of the cabana building that just turned out to be too cramped of a space, and it seemed unsafe to have grills that close to the overhang. We got protests when we wanted to put down a concrete pad in the space that Matthew just showed in order to have a permanent enclosure for the grills. And a lot of us are very skeptical of the reasoning of the health department in requiring this enclosure. The grills have been where they are since 1982 without a problem. And there are reportedly a lot of other comparable facilities to ours in the area that have grills at their pools. I mean, Sunlight Pool has grills at their pool. I just figured the best way that we can keep the pool open and not get a sudden surprise closure by the health department is to just whip together an enclosure. So the kind of bids that we were getting for a permanent enclosure were in the range of $3,800. I built that with $175 worth of wood and construction netting. So it'll be good enough to pass the health department if we get a surprise inspection. But as soon as we have either permission to keep the grills in the open or decide on a permanent enclosure, that'll be replaced with something more permanent and more sightly. So
That's good.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. So next
How
on the
can we
agenda.
see who all's there?
Next on the agenda is ending the mask mandate. So
I don't know.
if you're vaccinated, you no longer have to wear a mask indoors, according to the CDC guidelines, and we want to follow those. So I know I've not been great about wearing a mask inside for the last week or so, but that's officially lifted. That if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask inside. So
are we agreed that we take down the signs? Or should we replace them with, if you're unvaccinated, wear a mask? Or, I mean, how should we go with that?
The latter.
Yeah. Kroger has one up that says the CDC requires blah, blah, blah. If you're, you know.
Yeah, I think we should put one up that says that.
Just if you're unvaccinated, please wear a mask. Okay. That sounds good.
yeah, I'm down with that. So let's move to old business. First is the foundation update. So we have all of the spots in the basement are fixed, except for the spot in the corner in Larry and Karen's old storage unit. When we are working, we still do not know exactly what's causing that. There are theories that it's coming from outside, that's coming from water coming down the facade and coming in through the ledge, which is what one of the basement companies thought when they came. We think it could be coming from inside the building. We've got some video that Willie took, and we're sending that to EverDrive to see if they can come and kind of troubleshoot and figure out where that's coming from. But all the rest of the basement is sealed tight. So we're very excited and happy about that.
Which means we can put the sidewalks back. We can, and we can re-landscape the area outside of Sandra's window, et cetera. That last point of origin for the water, I remeasured everything with a laser, and it turns out that that's directly underneath Sandra's living room. It's not underneath the exterior planter like we thought it was. So it's if you look at the area where they've tried to seal it, there is clearly a cutoff pipe, and so this was at some point part of the drainage system. So it seems most likely that it's coming from that there's a breach in one of the drains, either the one that's immediately outside of the fire escape courtyard door or Sandra's courtyard drain. So we're probably going to have to go to Marco and have them scope those drains to find the breach. For now, though, it happens to be that is dropping that water directly on top of the sump pump. And so it's dealt with pretty handily. I've also got a bin underneath it, and it collected 2 inches of water in it in about an hour during the really heavy rain over the past couple of days. So we've had a really good test of the rest of it, and I'm happy to say that every other point where we were having water coming in through the foundation has been bone dry throughout the process. So we're getting close to it. It seems as if we can never quite get there, but we've got one problem left to solve, but it's a problem that won't prevent us from putting the exterior back together, having the sidewalks put back, having the landscaping put back. So we're all looking forward to that.
Awesome. Excellent. So next on the agenda is landscaping update. This past week, the board voted to terminate our contract with True Element for the landscaping. We'd been in negotiations and talks for quite a while. We'd had some dissatisfaction with the quality of the work, the regularity of the work, the consistency. There were a lot of the weeds being missed. And then last Thursday, True Element cut back a rose bush to the ground, basically, that was in full bloom. And they did that without consulting the board, or a resident had asked for help with some plants, cutting them back, but the rose bush seems to have gotten lumped in there for whatever reason. But we saw that as kind of the final straw, if you will, to terminate, and we have gotten bids and voted to accept Marco Galan, who's done some projects here in the past that we've been very satisfied with. His company is taking over landscaping for the rest of the summer, at least, and we're working with him on an initial cleanup, weekly weeding, mowing, and maintenance, as well as he put in a bid for the sod in the pool. So that's where we're at with that. We've talked with True Element and Vertex. There are no hard feelings, but we did move forward with that. So did anyone else on the board want to say anything, or?
Just that in addition to cutting down that rose bush, they then left without mowing. So it's been more than 2 weeks since the last time we've had the property mowed. So that was just inexplicable to us, and that just was kind of the last straw. So.
Great. Moving right along, roofing issues update. I think Stacy probably has the most recent and the most current information on that. Could you speak to kind of where we are in that, Stacy?
All right, so Steve is on vacation. Normally we talk right the day of the meeting. He takes care of all the projects. Let's see what he. I do not have anything on the roofing.
Well, with the really acute issue that we had was that both Pamela and Ed and Emery and Jim were having water spots on their ceilings, and when there was the heavy rain, and so we were worried that there was, breaches in the sealant that was recently applied to the roof underneath where the deck is. That looks, one of the things that we determined was that water was overtopping the gutter. So there was clearly a clog in the downspout. Vertex or True Element cleared that downspout. Oh, there's Pamela and Ed. We're just talking about you now. True Element cleared that downspout. And as far as I understand it, we haven't had additional water coming in. But when I was looking at the doors with C and Gale, they pointed out that there seems to be water overtopping the gutters on the west side of the central wing of the building. So we just today asked Stacy to start contacting gutter cleaning companies to clean. I don't know when the last time that the gutters on the entire building have been cleaned, but it seems like we need to pay attention to that throughout the building. It doesn't look like there were breaches in the roof itself. However, we did just recently have the skylights above the first floor resealed. And then also yesterday noticed a crack in one of those skylights where it's wide enough that you can see blue sky through it. So we're going to have some of those skylights, the lenses on the skylights replaced as well. So that's all in progress. And what we'd really like in the long run is to have a roofing company that we have an ongoing relationship with, that we can have come out and do a comprehensive and professional inspection every year, so that we're not reacting to problems after they've already done damage to people's units, so that we can get ahead of these things. And hopefully, apparently it's very hard to find roofers that are willing to work on foam flat roofs, but hopefully Vertex will be able to locate a reliable contractor for us for that.
Any other thoughts on that from anyone? Okay, the final item on the agenda is the stocks cleaning, which is taking place next week, I believe. Is it the 16th and 17th, Stacy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. So we'll be contacting people on the first floor, the fourth floor, and the fifth floor to arrange access to their units. We already have 4 units on the first floor that have had their bathroom stacks cleaned. They, I think, will still need the kitchen stacks cleaned. Mm-hmm. But the backup that we had a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago gave rise to the thought that we didn't need to have the bathroom stacks clean. We definitely do, and we've had some issues over the last year with some of the other bathroom stacks as well. So looking forward to getting those cleaned out. It's probably been 20 years since we cleaned those stacks, at least 10. We haven't cleaned them since I've been here. So, and that's all the new business that we have for tonight.
Well, Matthew.
Yes.
On that, we are getting almost nightly, or I won't say nightly, daily and nightly. We're getting that noise coming up through our pipes. So there's nothing.
The sink.
Up through the sink and maybe under our washer or dryer, but it's happening more often. There's nothing physical, but that we can see, but it's sure making a big noise. I don't know, man.
Yeah. We'll definitely. We'll tell Marco to to pay attention and see if they know what would cause that noise. It could be a leviathan in the basement, or
I'm going with that. Just for the fun of it.
yeah,
Plausible to me.
Yep.
but we'll make sure that they address them when they're here, and because they're really good, so that I'm sure they'll know what may be causing it.
Okay.
Thanks.
And again, a reminder, flushable wipes do not go down the toilet.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. They, Nate from Marco has told us that those are the best thing that ever happened to plumbers, and that those now provide more than 30% of their business.
Better than garbage disposals?
Well, garbage disposals seem to be a problem that's really unique to us because of our pre-regulation plumbing. But those flushable wipes, they say, are a problem everywhere, and they're just they're not actually. I mean, flushable is in they'll disappear from your toilet. But they do not disappear from the plumbing system, and apparently as soon as they get to any kind of constriction, they get caught up and then create a plug. So we plead with people not to use those, and hopefully if there is anything that any accumulation of those will be taken care of by the stacks cleaning.
Bakery, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
Matthew or Jim, is it possible? I mean, that's a lot of information. I mean, the wipes is something that is there any way to distribute a sheet in the doorways that says, you know, don't do this and do that, and this is going to happen? Because I know we get newsletters sent out to owners, but do renters get those also? And that information I doubt anyone reads them.
Yeah, they're supposed to be getting it, but I think you're right. I think that a handout would be really good at this point. And in fact, it might be a good idea if they were if we handed that out when Marco is here doing the stacks to really emphasize that this is part of the reason that we have to have this done, is because there are things that we can avoid doing that have caused some of these problems in the past.
We could also put it on the sign with the wear a mask if you're not vaccinated and do not flush wipes down the toilet.
And
you could put it on the front where the package delivery. I know that the package delivery men always read that sign.
Oh, sure. Yep.
We need refrigerator magnets.
Yeah, actually, Mary Lou could probably get those printed for us. That's her business. So.
And I think that with COVID, there's been a lot of disinfecting wipes used.
I'm sure that's made it worse.
Baby wipes and the other type of wipes. I think people might be putting disinfecting wipes also down the road.
That's probably true.
Nasty.
Okay.
So that concludes the old business and new business and old business. I'd like to open the floor for a homeowner forum. Does anyone have anything they want to discuss?
Yes, I have a question. Like getting lights changed down in the storage units. We've sent in a work order a couple times, but we have no idea whether it ever gets completed or not. And mine, I thought, well, they must have changed it because it was lighting up every time I went down there. And then today I went down, no, it was out again today. So how do we know when somebody changes their light bulbs for us?
I can actually start sending out the units that he's changing them in. Because he's
Is he doing it on a regular? Is somebody doing it on a regular basis, or?
Really, when the lights go out, we're more or less having them replaced with LEDs. They look like kind of a light table.
Yeah.
So if you can still see the light bulbs in your unit, then it's not been changed out. The issue we get with changing the light bulbs out, those neon bulbs or whatever, is the ballasts are bad, so they will come on sometimes.
Yeah.
They'll do it very regularly for a while, and then they'll just be out. So
that's what's happening. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll go down there and take a look, and I can tell the electrician to go ahead and get another one. He's gonna, well, actually, he's gonna be here next week.
Okay.
To go through for bids on replace. We're actually gonna probably replace all the lights in the exercise room, because it just, over the last couple of weeks, it just fell off a cliff somehow, and more than half the lights are out.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
So, well, I'll make sure to put that on the list.
Okay. Yeah, and I've got two things. One is the new parking sign, well, relatively new parking sign that we now have on Kennedy and 2nd Street. You know, that's right there. Is one thing we might want to do is, since that's a new stop sign, there's also the police requires that there's no parking 25 feet from a stop sign. And I think people are parking right up to that stop sign because they're not used to that being a stop sign. So I noticed a couple years ago with our exit, the brick alleyway, that Vern painted the curb bright yellow for 25 feet, just to be very clear, you don't park here. And it might be something we might want to do at the intersection of Kennedy and 2nd Street.
We'll check to see whether or not we're allowed to do that, or if we have to have the city do it. Can you check into that, Stacy?
Yep.
But if you know, if we're allowed to just go ahead and on our own discretion do that, then that shouldn't take much.
Yeah, because it does sort of, if you're pulling out of Kennedy, it does make it hard to see when people park right up to that stop sign.
Yeah.
And people also don't stop at that stop sign all the way. So
Right.
Two things. But even if the city requires that they do the painting, they've been pretty responsive. Like their online portal for submitting things, when we reported the sewer, they were here the same day, I think, or the next day.
Okay. Well, maybe you can report that through that portal instead, and have them take care of it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, and I know next year Covington is going to be doing more enforcement with parking because they're getting ready to raise the parking permits for the neighborhood. And because I think right now it's like $25 if you want to park on the street if you're a resident. And I think next year that's going to go up to $60, and the extra money is going toward enforcement.
Okay.
And second thing I have is actually for Stacy. And Stacy, are you still on? Yeah, this is just from the emails we've been having. Can you just give me a status update of where you are right now?
So for the architectural requests, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the last message I got from you was that you were going to share Amy Ferguson's letter with the DBL attorney to try to get it resolved. That's my understanding.
So that's not what I said in the email. I have not shared anything to DBL. At the last board meeting, the board said that right now it's a closed issue because they voted and they don't have the authority to approve it. So they said that
to be approved or denied.
To reopen.
I'm not asking it to be reopened.
To resubmit your application.
But that's not my question. I'm not asking it to be reconsidered. I'm asking for two legal opinions, two attorney opinions to be resolved.
The thing is, these aren't two equally balanced attorney positions. The HOA has legal counsel, and you have your legal counsel. Right. We've asked the HOA legal counsel to evaluate the argument put forward by your legal counsel, and he disagreed with it the first time, and then he also disagreed with it the second time. And after that, we voted. We don't have an open issue on it now. If you would
I
like
don't
to
understand
go
what
a
you're saying
third
first time, second
time,
time, but Stacy just said he's never seen it.
no, that's the third. That's your third legal argument. That came in after we voted on the issue.
But that's
So
the one I'm talking about. The other ones,
right, and that's why we're saying if you would like to have that legal opinion given to our attorney for evaluation, we need to have a architectural modification request from you so that we have an open issue, because this isn't free. We have to pay money to the attorney for this. We can't use the homeowner's money to just keep endlessly going over this same issue without an open
that, Jim,
issue.
and I don't even understand why you asked for that opinion anyway, because you already had legal opinions from our HOA attorney, Amy Ferguson.
She's not our HOA attorney.
She was at the time she wrote those letters.
We didn't actually ask that question from our attorney. We asked a bunch of other questions, and he came back and told us that that we didn't have the right to make that decision. So
right, and I shared
at that
with
point,
Amy. She says he's making a mistake.
But
So,
there are two different roles here. We have the HOA attorney. His role is to protect the interest of the homeowners in the HOA.
right.
Your attorney, her role is to advocate on your behalf to get the architectural modification that you want. Those are two completely different roles.
Right, and she served in the other role in those letters. The first one was when
Right,
she
but
was.
she is not
now.
the HOA attorney right now.
Yes. Okay, well, I will proceed then with a request.
Okay.
And then that request is going to be very specific about the process. And this is why I don't understand. I have asked the process, and I think the question is, I think Stacy, you answered that question, that if I submit a new request, I think Stacy, you told me that the board will bring that to a vote for all 50 homeowners.
No, we will bring your legal argument to our counsel, and our counsel will tell us whether or not we are still, the current guidance is that we may not approve your request without a vote of all 50 homeowners, and that vote must be 100% approval in order to grant your request. We will submit your attorney's, we will submit your attorney's argument to our counsel and ask if his guidance has changed. If it has not changed, then we are legally mandated to have a vote of the homeowners for your architectural modification request.
So you will get an opinion before you proceed with an all.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's what I've been trying to get you to say.
And that's what we've said over and over again on email, Stephen.
You weren't clear about the process. You kept saying, just submit it. We can't say anything until you submit it. And I'm like, I'm not submitting it if you're going to put it to a vote for all 50 people.
Okay, well, I guess we understand now. And if you'll go ahead and submit a new architectural change request, you can just submit the same one with changing the dates. Then we'll send any information, any argument you want, we'll send to our legal counsel and ask for his guidance on this issue. And if his guidance changes, then we'll let the homeowners know what the new guidance is. If his guidance is the same, then if you want, we will schedule a vote of all 50 homeowners on the issue.
And I don't want to do that.
See, therein lies the problem. If
he comes back and says his opinion has not changed,
right,
I will withdraw my request and proceed litigation.
That's fine. If your only intent there is to avoid giving the rest of the homeowners any say on the issue, then I guess I don't know what your grounds for litigation will be. But if you feel that that's necessary, then I guess that's where we'll end up.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully when he sees her letter, he'll change his mind.
He may very well.
Yep. And then we won't have a decision. We'll just have a decision on the process.
That's correct.
Yep.
Correct.
All right. That's good with me.
Okay.
Excellent. Great. Anyone else have anything this evening?
I do. I just wonder if you've have any status of the sewer leak that was in the garden area?
We just today asked for Vertex to call SD1 and get some sort of feedback from them on it, because we were hoping that Mark was having that taken care of. But when we were at the HOA picnic last Memorial Day, there was, towards the end of that, there was a thick, noxious miasma rolling in from that direction. So I think it's pretty clear he hasn't had that repaired yet. So we'll bring in SD1 and the health department if we have to.
Yeah, just because also with the new landscape company, they'll they need to go back there and cut there. But if it's in bad shape, that we don't want them back there.
Right. I mean, if it's still human waste back there, it's not safe for them to go through there. And on that same note, I do have 4 more bags of tick and chigger poison, but it has to be applied when it's dry. So for the next few days, I guess it's in the car wash room with the spreader, but hopefully we'll be able to get those under control as well. Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Move to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Everyone have a great evening.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.